Hello, this is your Human Impact on Water Resources notes. So, water pollution. Background: most water used for domestic purposes like showering, laundry, cooking, bathroom, etc. is treated at a sewage treatment facility. Precipitation, which is rain and snow, can absorb air pollutants and deposit them far away from their source. Rain can wash pesticides and fertilizers into waterways. This also happens to oil, gasoline, and other chemicals that have leaked or spilled on roads and parking lots. So how does groundwater get polluted? Leaking chemical barrels, underground gasoline storage tanks, landfills, road salts, nitrates from fertilizers, sewage from septic systems, and other pollutants can seep into the ground and pollute underground water supply. Why does this matter? Polluted groundwater can reach the drinking water supplies of people who rely on wells. And once groundwater is contaminated, those pollutants can be really difficult to remove. This video will be also linked in Schoology if you would like to watch it. Explain how mercury pollution from the ocean gets into the food chain. Mercury is released into the air and water from burning coal and manufacturing. It's then eaten by fish. The fish are eaten by larger predators, and it keeps getting passed up the food chain. The further up the food chain it gets, the more mercury is present. Because think about it, one predator might eat a dozen fish, each of those fish having mercury, so they have more in them. Mercury has been detected in bears that do not live near polluted waters because they eat salmon that migrate from the oceans. And then carnivores high on the food chain are most affected by the accumulation of toxic substances. So here is a little graphic explaining how that mercury gets there. So the concentration is pretty low in the water, right? And there are these little producers, little things that are going to have more in them than in the water. And then these bigger things, zooplankton, eat those producers. They have even more in them. Then small fish eat these zooplankton, so they have more, a higher concentration. Then salmon, or a large fish here, eats a bunch of the small fish, so they have an even higher concentration. And finally, an eagle eats one of these fish, and some of these fish, and has an even higher concentration. So the further up it gets, even if there's only a tiny bit in the water, it can affect things like our eagle population. This is one of the reasons that eagles almost went extinct, was because of a particular chemical, DDT, that was used to limit mosquitoes. But then it almost killed off some other species. Reducing water pollution. So what laws protect our water? The Safe Drinking Water Act. This was passed in 1974, which was only 50 years ago, to ensure that everyone in the U.S. has access to safe drinking water. However, while progress is being made, we are not there yet. In 2018, 90% of people using community water systems had clean water, but that means 10% didn't. Currently, 98% of people in Minnesota are getting water that meets the Safe Drinking Water Act standards. Another one, the Clean Water Act. This was passed in 1972, and it had two main goals. First, eliminate pollution of rivers, streams, lakes, and wetlands. And second, restore water quality to allow for recreational use of waters for fishing and swimming. Currently, only about half of the nation's waters are safe for swimming and fishing. In 2023, the Supreme Court removed up to 2/3 of wetlands and millions of miles of streams from the law's protection. Over time, this decision is going to harm the water quality, the wildlife, and our way of life. And a newer pollutant, microplastics, is becoming an increasing issue. Water conservation. What are the 3 most impactful ways to conserve water? In the US, 20 to 35% of water taken from public water supplies is lost through leaky toilets, bathtubs, and faucets. Conserving in agriculture. We need to monitor soil moisture, water near the roots that prevents evaporation, aka the water going into the atmosphere instead of into the plants. And we need to raise water prices. so that they have a reason to pay more attention to how much water they're using. Conserving in industry. Recycle cooling water and wastewater. So things like nuclear power plants need water to help cool down the machinery, but then oftentimes it just gets dumped instead of being recycled. Same thing with like wastewater. We need to actually reuse these things. And then conserving at home. You can get things like low flow toilets or high efficiency shower heads. You're using less water while still getting clean. Things like that. And then how can you conserve, aka save, water? Make a pledge to conserve water in your everyday life. I want you to pick 1 to 2 things that you will commit to doing. So you can write, I pledge to, and come pick 2 of these things. So I pledge to turn off the faucet when brushing my teeth. Take shorter showers. Only running the dishwasher and or washing machine when it is full. Keeping a pitcher of water in the fridge for cold water instead of letting the tap run to get cold. Reuse your cup for multiple water times to cut down on dishes. And finally, you can wear clothes more than once if they aren't dirty to cut down on laundry. Or you can make up your own way to conserve water. That is it for our water notes. If you need to go back to any questions, you absolutely can rewind and pause the video. But please make sure you complete your notes in your binder.